Grid is a two-dimensional layout system that organizes content into rows and columns. Each column and rows defined by grid lines. The line between columns are called column lines and the line between rows are row lines. The space between four intersecting grid lines is called cells. The uniqueness of the grid layout is that you can place items anywhere inside grid cells and layer them on top of each other, which was complex before CSS Grid. To begin, we need to create one div element and change the display property to grid and define number of rows and columns for the grid. For that, you have to use grid template columns and grid template rows. So let's say here we are going to create two columns with 100 pixel each and similar to two rows with 100 pixel each. So let's open the inspect and add grid lines. Say if I add one more columns with 100 pixel, the grid lines will increase. So once we define the grid rows and columns, the horizontal lines and vertical lines with the numbers will be created for that. This is crucial for placing items inside the grid container. There are four ways to place items inside grid container. First, create one grid items. Now by default, it will take the first cell in the grid container. So there are 6 cells inside the grid. So by default, it will take first cell if you didn't define anything. So the first one is to place items by specifying the exact grid lines by number. For that, use grid column start, grid column end, grid row start, grid row end. So let's say I want to place this item with line number 2 to 4 for the row 1 to 3. So let's say here column start line number is 2, end is 4, row is 1 to 3. So it plays in this path. So it occupies 2 rows and columns. So there is a shorthand for this. So we need to define starting line number slash and end. So here start is 2, end is 4. Same grid row, starting is 1 slash and 3 is a short form. So another way is, so instead of directly giving the numbers, exact numbers, you can give grid line names for each. Let's say C start, column start, you can say call mid, content, C end. Similar thing we can have row start. Just give whatever name you want to mid, row end. So now you can define, let's say for the second value for the column is mid and the last value here, the fourth one is end, and similar to row start and row end. Let's save this so you can see no difference. Now let's say I'm changing this line to C start. Now it is occupying the whole, using the line names to place the items. So which will be more convenient if you have the names for the each lines. So another way is to use span keyword, allowing grid items to span multiple rows and columns using span in the grid row and column. Grid row span to so it is spanning 2 and 3 for the similar effect. So let's say I'm changing the column to 2, spanning to 1. So because we only defined 2 rows, but the third row will take the remaining extra space, so 2. But this placement won't be in the exact place. Let's say we have one more item. After the second item only the span started. Okay. So there is no fixed positions if you are using span. So that you need to remember. So the final way is to name grid areas. So here now we have 3 columns and 4 rows. So instead of repeating the same name, we can add repeat 300 pixel, repeat 400. So this is a handier way to define columns and rows if we have a same size for all the cells. So after defining the number of rows and columns, you can name it by using space separated string, specifying columns and rows using the name. So you can give the name for each cell or combination of multiple cells also. You can assign same name. So for that, grid template areas you have to use. So So there are 4 rows we have, right? So you have to define 4 rows with the 3 columns. Let's say header. First row will have only header. Second row side menu and content. The same thing for the next row, and last one is footer. So we define. Now you can see the grid names also assigned for each cells. How we define here. You can have item 1. So we have 4 items in our div. So we can define which one has the header, which one has side menu. So that we can define the grid item using grid area. We have to give the name. So for second one is side menu, and third one is content, and fourth one is footer. So now to distinguish, we can give different background color. Yeah, now we can see. So for grid, understanding the placing items is very important. By using the grid line numbers, or you can define the name for each grid line, and using a span keyword, or using the grid template areas. So using these 4 ways, you can place items inside the grid container in each cells also. Now next video, we will have a look in how to align each items or content inside the grid container. Thank you.